It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
All right. Good morning, Steph, on this snowy morning.
Yes, good morning on this snowy morning. So that is why I'm not in the studio. I'm in my half unpacked house this morning.
Steph just moved.
Yeah.
I actually drove in. The main roads are clear. Like it's
Okay.
just neighborhood stuff that you probably have to worry about. But within an hour, it'll be melted. It's kind of fun to get snow in North Carolina. We haven't gotten this much snow in probably 10 years.
Oh my God, it's been so long. It's probably
it's only 2 inches.
Yeah, it's only 2 inches. But last night it was so beautiful because I went to Olive Garden. And there's something really beautiful about exiting Olive Garden, and it is just snowing like cinematically across the Olive Garden parking lot. And then my best friend and I went and saw a movie after, and then we like walked out of the movie at like 9 p.m. and that was when it was like really coming down.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun. So yeah.
I love the statement. There's something cinematic about the Olive Garden.
There is. I saw the Wolfman last night.
Oh, how was it?
So bad.
Is it really bad?
I think that there is something so fun about like a creature feature. I love like a campy, scary movie. Yeah. But this was a remake, right? Because this is one of like the Universal monster critters.
Yeah.
But they tried to make the whole movie like an allegory for generational trauma.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
so
I was
it's complicated.
Yeah, they did too much with it. I was like, he could just be like a wolf and a man, but you kind of did too much with that. So that's why I didn't really enjoy it. I feel like they tried to make it too weird.
Well, the thing is, all these sort of like superhero things they've gotten really boring.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying the same formula over and over. There's no creativity anymore in it. The creativity is in doing a part 2, a part 3. I mean, there was some joke I saw on one of the comedy shows that they've so much run out of ideas that the latest Marvel character is Captain Marvel.
Yes.
You can't come up with a better name than Captain Marvel.
Well, she's also from a comic book, so I guess they didn't make her up for the movie, right?
Not totally, but yeah, they didn't make her the character she was in the comic book. But in any case, it's I can imagine that it's tough. I think they need to like wipe the slate clean. I think what DC, obviously DC has done a better job curating their content. And, like, for example, we've had 3 in the last 25, 30 years, we've had 3 or 4 different Batman series, and all of them are really good. They're all very different. Yeah, they're all very different, right? Some are darker and some are more, funny. So they varied it up. But yeah, I was talking to my ad creative class about this actually yesterday. Interestingly enough, we were talking about how, creative plagiarism is one way to do creative, right? Meaning that you borrow ideas. Let's be honest. Star Wars was the story of the Bible, right? I mean, Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, who's born to a mother who doesn't know how she got pregnant, doesn't know who the father is, and he's the one that's supposed to save the galaxy. I mean, it's the story of the Bible. And then of course you have Harry Potter, which is basically a knockoff of Star Wars. You have the protagonist is a kid who lives with his uncle, who's not allowed to see his parents. And then his parents his dad ends up being really evil, and he befriends a girl that he has some romantic interest in, and finds out later, it's all this. It's the same stories, right? But at least the creative in that storytelling is in the adventure and in the development of the characters and the differences, right? So that's going to be tough. As Hollywood, you mentioned in your notes this morning that the theater you saw it in, which was the theater that you saw it in?
The Alamo, yeah.
Yeah, the Alamo. Yeah, they're laying people off, and I think that's a result of, you're going to go to a theater to see something you can't see at home. A romantic comedy you can see at home and feel the same way about it.
For sure.
A documentary is the same way. It's the adventurous amazement is the reason why you go to a theater, and there's not a lot of that.
Yeah, that's actually true. I mean, I'm the type of person where I prefer to see anything in a theater, but also right now it is a bit of a dry spell in terms of good movies.
That's a good word for it.
It's like dry January is more than just not drinking in January. It means like if there's no good.
Are you doing dry January? I didn't know that.
No, I'm not. But it is dry January in terms of content. The content is very dry.
Hey, on my way into to campus today, I took this picture. You want to see it? You want to see what the snow looks like?
Yeah.
Check it out. We didn't get a lot. We got like maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches, but it's pretty, right? I mean, there's our building. That's the school I teach in. That's the building I teach in. Not a whole lot of snow on the ground stuff, but it still makes it a cool experience, right?
Yeah. Is class canceled today?
No, everything is open, normal. The roads are fine. It's just getting out of your own driveway, right? You have to figure out how to get out of your neighborhood in the driveway, it takes a lot to cancel university classes, and I think the problem would be if we canceled school like Minnesota, University of Minnesota would do some kind of meme, right? I mean, we can't do something like that. But in any case, we have a good show today. We actually have a guest, and we're going to use the show to launch a new product. I think it's kind of cool. Steph's gonna, Steph and I are going to talk. We're going to talk. We don't want to give it away yet, but I will tell you that there's been AI in our industry, as you know, and the AI has been all around recognizing people with cameras, recognizing the stream voices and chip bags and things like that, right? Counting people, giving us better data. But what if you could run a system by the system recognizing who you are? And what if you could troubleshoot a system that way as well? That's the AI we're going to talk about. We're going to introduce you to a brand new company who's going to, and actually a maybe familiar face to some of you, because the guest who's going to join us has worked at places like Crestron. So I think you'll probably be familiar with them. What do you think, Steph? You excited?
Exactly. I'm excited. But also, before we continue on, don't forget ISE is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's freaking me out because that means I need to get my life together. But use our code. If you haven't registered, but you're coming for whatever reason, use code RAVEPUBS. It gets you on the floor for free. So then you just have to obviously buy your flight and hotel. Have not figured out a way to give you guys a code for that yet, but maybe one day. But yeah, we're excited. It's going to be a good show this year, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be busy. There's going to be a lot of new products, and in fact, we have a product scoop for you this morning. First one's to publish the story. Check it out. 2 stories. One is sort of like, okay, maybe you don't see that as a big deal, but I do. Logitech entered the collaboration board market with a product called Rally Board. It's a 65-inch collaboration board, and I think this is interesting, and they've done this the right way. I have all said all along, Steph, that collaboration boards should never be hung on the wall. They should be on carts. They should be moved around. Hanging them on a wall limits the ability to use them, and they should not be your primary display in a room,
right? Unless
you're using it for an ad hoc space, like the image that we're seeing here, where you're like, in a co-working space, and you just wheel it into a space and turn it into a collaboration space. It should not be the primary display in a space. And the fact that one of the leading UC companies has now entered the collaboration board market like this, being Logitech, this validates that market. We're going to see sort of a resurgence again. It'll help companies like Avicor. It'll help companies like NEC, Sharp, I should say now, who have been in that market for a long time. But one of the features in that product is really cool. We talk about AI. It incorporates a feature that another brand new product that Logitech is launching today called Spot. Okay, so let's check out that product. That's the second story there. There you go. Spot. So Spot, if you look at that, about the center top of that screen there, Steph, you see that little white thing that's mounted to the wall. It's about the size of this, like this kind of size. Yeah, it's like about the size of an Apple TV, mounted to a wall, but it comes in different colors. That is a sensor, and that sensor does everything from occupancy to temperature to environment to It is an all-encompassing sensor that allows you to use measure stuff like temperature, length of a meeting, whether people are paying attention, and then give you some data about your space and about usage of equipment in the space and people's attention span, things like that. But what's cool about this stuff is that the idea behind this is not to just put it in meeting spaces, but put it all over the facility and actually start generating data that actually empowers both facilities and IT to help you deliver better experiences for workplaces in general, not just for meetings.
Yeah.
So it helps. I like this from Logitech because it helps integrators get into a new market, right? It helps integrators get into more of a business consulting market rather than just providing technology. I could see them expand this product quite easily. Like
for sure,
a version with a camera on it. I could see a version with a higher quality micro. I mean, there's so many different kind of directions they could take this. But even just occupancy sensing, like I have a product that's sitting in there that wakes up the room and sets the room up based on the person who walks in the room, I think is kind of a cool feature. And it gives, like I said, Steph, it gives our integrators something new to sell and integrate.
Exactly. No, I think that finally, I think that we're starting to see new, different emerges into different markets. Like I think that AV has been needing that for a while. It seems like we've kind of been in a slump a little bit.
Well, we have been in a slump when it comes to new technology and new ideas, new ways to look at things. I think our guest, Sam Kennedy, who's we've kind of alluded to earlier, I think what he's bringing to the market with his new company is a good example of like innovating beyond the normal stuff, right? And you could argue there's a lot of companies out there who have been yelling and screaming, we do stuff like this too, but the problem has been they don't have the reach and they don't have the infrastructure that a company like Logitech would have, because that's the key, right? The key is having a great idea and having a great product is one part of it, but distributing it, getting it to the client, and then having a way or a path to be able to explain to the customer why they need this product or what the pain point is that it solves. And a lot of times the integrators are too busy to worry about that.
Yeah, for sure. They 100% are. So, okay. So before we bring on Sam, we're going to quickly play a spot from our newest sponsor and partner for rAVe TV, Crestron. So check this out on the Video Bar 70. All right, as promised, we are bringing on our guest, Sam Kennedy, who some of you guys might know from a new company called Netspeek. First of all, Sam, how's it going? Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here. Things are going really well.
Yeah, so you and I had a call last week and you told me all about this. And I was like, wait, we got to have you on here. You got to tell us more about this. So first of all, tell us a little bit about what Netspeek is and what was the inspiration behind it.
So we are a new company. We're just launching. We just kind of formally launched yesterday. And so the real focus of what we're looking to do, again, you guys talked about it earlier around that there's all this excitement around AI. And so what we want to do is we want to bring that generative AI to support conference rooms, support collaboration spaces. So enable organizations to be more successful with their spaces by leveraging this generative AI. So again, the idea behind it is we know that there's a lot more technology that's out there. We know that organizations are trying to enable as many spaces as possible. And we know that while AV has moved into IT, a lot of the nuances of the knowledge base is not, it's hard to keep up with all of the innovations that all the organizations are launching. And so for us, what we're looking to do is automate a lot of that and bring and solve and take generative AI to help organizations be more successful by bringing that knowledge base and a lot of that automation into the cloud.
Oh, so I have a question. That all sounds like a lot of tech speak. What I want to know is, I mean, the word, the term generative AI, I've heard that probably as much as I've heard any term in the last 5 years, over the last 2 months. But I want to know exactly how this actually works. Meaning, if I'm an integrator and I'm watching this right now, I want to know exactly what Netspeek is. By the way, it's SPEEK, so it's netspeek.com. If I partner with you, what am I doing? What am I putting in? Is it a piece of hardware, a piece of software, and what is it actually doing?
So it is pure cloud software. There can be some edge software that an organization would put in just from a security perspective, so that we don't send any sensitive data over the cloud, right? So it's all software, and we're focusing really on 3 main use cases. One, to help with installations. So that generative aspect means that when I want to do an install, as a normal human being, most people don't always do 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And if in traditional sense of setting something up from a machine, it has to follow directions, right? It has to do 1, 2, 3, 4. For us, when the generative aspect, when we say that, what we mean is each time we're doing a new install, each time we're doing a troubleshooting, it's figuring it out. It's the machine itself. We call it Lena, Lena. That's the product name. She's figuring out the steps that she wants to do to help the integrator with the installation, to help the end customer troubleshoot a problem. She is generating the process and the thoughts and what she's going to do, step 1, step 2, step 3. It may be different every time, but she's ultimately going to come to the same result. So it truly is generating. Yeah.
The software is loaded on what? Like I put it on my phone and then it walks me through doing an install, or where is it?
So it's a cloud-based platform, and so the way that we would connect to the devices is we would connect to the devices via APIs, SDKs, cloud-to-cloud APIs. So we're communicating with the devices themselves. Through the cloud. An organization would either go through a web portal. They would talk to her. I call her as she does a lot of humanistic things, so I can't help but personify her. But you will just say, Lena, I'm having a problem in conference room 1. Troubleshoot that room, and
I understand that after it's installed. But okay, I'm going in to do an install. What am I loading the software onto? And how does it know what my system is?
So there is some process that you'll have to onboard the device to say, okay, step 1 is I need to put in the serial number of this device. Okay. And then she'll go through and work with the integrator to actually help set up. Plug the device into input 1. We're going to send a signal to input 1 to make sure that you're installed correctly. So, and just follow that through on all the different devices from all the different main manufacturers. That's the process that we're following from an installation perspective.
Okay, got it.
But she does a lot of cool stuff with like upkeep of devices too. Like she can tell when something's offline. She can tell when something isn't working right. So you can have her remotely go in and see what's wrong.
Correct, and she can read logs, right? I've been in the industry almost 30 years. I couldn't give me a log. I wouldn't know what to do. She can go read through the log, find out where there's a problem, and then either tell the customer, the integrator, the vendor, here's the problem that I'm having, and that's it. I mean, it's within a minute.
Can you program it to do the firmware and software updates too?
Of course. Now, one of the things, one of the use cases we're going to show at ISE is the ability to do a room check or room sweep, or people call them different terms. But the idea that someone walks into a room every day and is testing all the gear in the room, we're going to automate that whole process so that you can set up so that, say, 6 o'clock every day, that your classroom is tested, all of it is tested. And again, this isn't an if this then that setup. It's not, none of this is programmed in to say, okay, do this first, this second, this third. It's all generative, right? So as I pull out a piece of gear, add a piece of gear, she's figuring this all out on the fly.
All right. And then if I'm an integrator and I want to sign up for your service, is there a per room fee or per license fee, or how's that work?
Yeah, typically what we're looking at is a per room, per room. So as many devices that you have in the room, and we do a per license. So thank you again.
So then they would white label that to the customer, or offer that as part of their services to the customer.
All those options. We have all those options available.
Okay, and you go live. When do you start? When can integrators start signing up? I know you're going to be at ISE. Can they start signing up immediately? Or
they can start signing up immediately. Go to our website, Netspeek, like you said, Netspeek.com. So you can start signing up right now. We expect it to be available first half of this year, probably early calendar Q2 is when we would be generally available.
And whose AI is your backbone?
Come talk to us at ISE, and we could have a more deep technical discussion as to. But this is a private large language. To be clear, this is not ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going out to the public internet. Yeah. This is all walled off. We've trained the model so that we're very accurate. We don't do things like a lot of the AI does hallucinations. So we're very accurate. While I'm saying you might get different processes each time because it is generative, the end results are always the same. And so that's why I'm saying if this isn't just ChatGPT, we're going to get a different answer every single time.
All right, perfect. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm interested to see how this works. I'll be coming out. Where's your booth at ISE, by the way?
We are booth CS820. So we're in the Innovation Row, I think it's called. We're between halls 6 and 7. So it's a little tiny booth for me this year, but I think we're going to make a big impact.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you guys. We'll make sure to stop by. So yeah, thank you so much. And again, it's Netspeek for anyone who wants to check them out. There's also a story on ravepubs.com if you want to read that as well. So Sam, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, and by the way, if you are interested in our ISE coverage, we're already putting news up about ISE. That's easy to find. It's ravepubs.com/ISE. And that's where we'll put all the videos we shoot. We typically shoot somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 videos, and that's at ravepubs.com/ISE. One of our sponsors, we already talked about Crestron. One of our other sponsors is AVer. And AVer is not just making hardware. They're also reaching out and pulling the industry together for relief. As a relief initiative, they're calling it Together for Relief because they're based in Los Angeles as well, and they've launched this initiative, which includes an equipment donation and employee match program for those people affected by the fires in California. A lot of businesses, Steph, burned down. A lot of workout facilities burned down. A lot of meeting rooms. I mean, like everything, hotels. I mean. Yeah. And so there's going to be a lot of need for technology. I've seen the Guitar Center, for example, replacing instruments for musicians because they were burned up in the fire. Same thing, AVer's doing the same thing here. I hope that you scan the QR code, or I hope that you get involved in something like this. If you're, we're busy with our own relief here in North Carolina with the mountains and the hurricane that hit, but the rest of the country can certainly help out with what's going on in LA. And I was out there, Steph. I flew to LA on the worst day of the fires. I did not know at the time when I booked the trip, but it ended up being the worst day that Wednesday of a couple of weeks ago. It was incredible to see how the size and the scope of this and the number of people affected. I was out to see Epson, and a number of people who work at Epson were affected by the fires, lost their houses, or had the fire come up against their neighborhoods, and their friends lost their homes. So it's pretty sad, and I appreciate AVer jumping to it. So
so what they're doing is they've got a stock, of course, a back stock of refurbs, and they're donating all of their refurbs of M70Ws, M5s, and U50 document cameras to LA County schools to help with any
That's
of the
awesome.
schools and the technology that was lost in the fire. So,
And there have been complete schools lost. I mean, like there's been, a lot of these neighborhood schools that were in, like, for example, Palisades, that they lost a couple of elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. And so I can't imagine for the kids, like, all of a sudden, not only is your school gone, but all your friendships are sort of like broken apart, and you've got to go to different schools, and it'll take, it's unlike a hurricane or COVID, where you're out of school for a few months, right? This is something where they're going to be out of school, out of that physical school space for years, because it'll take years to rebuild these schools and these neighborhoods. Even when they rebuild the school, the houses aren't there.
yeah,
Things like that. It's terrible. But
it's terrible.
well, we do have other news out there. Steph, you want to talk about Excite Connect Plus? Did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, let's talk about Connect Plus really quick. This is a brand new thing from Excite. I think it came out like yesterday. So this is basically it's announcing new cloud to cloud connectors. So it allows end users and integrators to remotely monitor, manage their UC and AV devices from multiple vendors in all, locations from like one unified interface. But these now cloud to cloud connectors include Zoom rooms, Microsoft Teams rooms, Crestron, QSC Reflect, Neat, Poly, like a bunch.
Yeah, and it's really the Connect Plus stuff is aimed specifically at helping integrators jump onto the cloud as quickly as possible. I think that's a key message there, because they've already had their cloud management platform for a while, but they've really been tailoring it to manufacturers getting on the platform, and now they've got enough traction that the integrators should start joining. So if you're an integrator out there, if you're not thinking about the cloud, you should be thinking about the cloud. It's one of the things I'm going to talk about today in my crystal ball piece, which we'll talk about in a little bit. This is an easy platform to join. You can see it at excite.com, excite.io, XYTE.io. Speaking of camera, go ahead, Steph.
I think that honestly, like Netspeak working with Excite would make a ton of sense.
I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of these companies work together. I think that 2025 is going to be the year of collaboration. I think a lot of companies that were competing with each other, or thought they were competing with each other, are now going to join forces and make the industry better. Our industry is not going to grow without that. If we don't embrace some norms, and we also don't embrace some co-opetition, for lack of a better term, where you're competing, you're cooperating with your competition, we're going to fragment the industry, and we're going to allow another industry to come in and take over our industry, like what's happened with digital signage. So, hey, by the way, this past week, Snap One debuted their new, and by the way, Snap One was purchased by ADI Global.
Yes.
Right? Hopefully people know that by now. They just introduced the Luma 4K series of security cameras. What's interesting about these, to me, Steph, is they're both for high-end residential applications and commercial applications. And, we have a security newsletter now. Steph is editing a new security newsletter. So if you're in physical or cybersecurity, one of the stories I wrote up yesterday was about a cybersecurity software update. If you're in either one of those spaces, you should go to ravepubs.com/subscribe, or click the subscribe link and subscribe to our new security publication out there. So what's KRA got, Steph?
Like 5 new products that they're launching at ISE, which is like, oh my God. Okay. So yes, KRA is launching 5 new products there with tons of significant updates across, the whole brand. They are launching the Dragon series, some new loudspeakers available.
New Dolomite series, new Dolomite products. Yeah.
Yes. With triaxle technology, passive radiators, and really good like metal construction, so they're a little bit ruggedized.
And they're also aimed at the commercial market. So they've done, they've got high-end residential and commercial. At ISE, they'll be showing both, but these new ones are primarily aimed at the commercial market.
Yep, and then also the GT12, which is a new full-range loudspeaker from the K Gear brand. So, which is more, it's supposed to be like kind of like it can do everything. It's supposed to be like a Swiss Army knife product. So it's supposed to be really, really easy to do like live performances, but also like fixed install scenarios. It's supposed to be like kind of like your one size fits all. So yeah, they're going to be debuting all of these at ISE, and I can't wait to go check them out.
So next week on rAVe TV, put this on your calendars, because Shure is going to use rAVe TV to tell you what they're going to launch at ISE. They're going to debut all their new products. It's going to be new stuff that they're going to show at ISE. Is going to be debuted on rAVe TV 1 week from today on January 29th. So mark your calendars. In the meantime, check out this piece on the IntelliMix Room AI dVerb demonstration.
Oh, hi. I'm Chris Lyons. You might remember me from such classic videos as Denoiser or how to set up Microflex Complete Wireless. Today, we're talking about this.
A lot of meeting rooms make you sound like this. The reason is reflected sound. Hard surfaces, like a glass wall, reflect sound waves, while soft surfaces absorb them.
Reflections make the room sound hollow, like people are in a can or a barrel. IntelliMix Room DSP software has a feature called AI dVerb. It removes the reflections while preserving the speech. From my understanding, the engineers de-interlaced the dynamic range of the dropped packets. That's how I would have done it. For instance, this is how I might sound in a small room with some reflective surfaces. You can hear that the reflections are causing a little bit of hollowness. But now we have AI dVerb turned on. The reflections and the hollowness aren't as noticeable anymore. Now this is what I might sound like in a bigger room with more reverberation. It sounds pretty hollow in here. But now we'll turn on AI dVerb, which gets rid of the hollowness while making me sound more intelligible. It's almost like we got rid of the glass walls and put up some nice shag carpeting to dampen all the reflections. AI dVerb is included with IntelliMix Room software version 6.2 and above. Now you can get rid of that tin can sound without sacrificing great audio quality, and you can keep the glass walls.
All right, we are back live. Steph, we got one last story.
Let's talk about it.
DJI has gotten into the car charging market. That's the company that does drones. You know, like they're probably most famous for their drones. A lot of the big drone shows use DJI, and they're getting in the car charging market. Now, the reason why we care about this is because obviously, if you are interested in offering a new service, this is a great market, because eventually everyone's going to have electric cars. So you're going to be in this market one way or the other. And instead of isolating yourself and saying, I only do AV, why not do all technology?
Why not do all technology? Yeah. So I think it makes a lot of sense for a CI to be in the car charger market, because they already offer so many other pieces of technology in the home. So why not just have this too?
Yeah. I agree.
If you have the type of home where you're hiring a CI to do your technology, you probably drive an electric car anyway. Let's be honest.
Well, it's very possible. And it's a new market. Obviously, LG's in that market too. And you know, these are going to be things that you can add digital signage to. I mean, I think DJI will expand into more than just home car chargers, but in commercial markets as well. But today, Steph, at 2 p.m. today, I'm going to do a sneak peek of my K's crystal ball. So of course, the K's crystal ball will be published in the next few weeks. I don't know if we're going to publish it before ISE or after, but it depends on sort of how busy we get. But ultimately, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. I'm not going to tell you everything that's in the crystal ball, but I'm going to go through some major categories. I think it's like 15 different categories of things to talk about today, and a few of them incorporate AI. Instead of just doing a section on AI, Steph, I'm doing AI in each of the sections.
I think that is probably the best.
Yeah, because they're all, you know, it's being used differently in different places. So some of these complicated things are going to really be helped by AI. Like,
Yeah.
setting up a room with a mic array that's supposed to work if the room has 10 people in it or the room has 100 people in it, and be able to correct itself. That's something AI is going to be able to help with. Knowing who's walking into a room, who's the leader of a meeting, the way they want the room set up. Those are kinds of things that AI are really going to be good at. And I'm going to kind of give you a sneak peek of that. I'm going to talk about some of the new technologies that you should be watching. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to tell you sort of my take on where LED is and where projection is, audio and video technologies, why you should care about NDI, things like that. So join me today. If you haven't signed up already, there's plenty of time. This is going to be our highest attended. I don't know if this is a launch and learn or what it is. I've been calling it a webinar, but
event, virtual event.
What is it?
I said an event, a virtual event.
An event. There you go. And we've already got a record number of people signing up for a 1 hour event.
Awesome.
So that's really cool. But I would like to get more. So sign up. It's at 2 p.m. today. If you haven't signed up yet, go to launch.com, lavnch.com. And Steph, we went over. I guess that interview with Sam.
Well, we just like to, we have a lot of things about us, Gary, and one of the things about us is that neither of us are very succinct people.
No. I don't know if that's my fault or your fault, Steph, because here's the thing.
I think it's 50-50.
Meaning I know I talk too much, but I don't know if I made you talk too much or you already talked too much before we got together. Which one?
I think I already talked too much before we started doing it.
My dad would always say to me when I was a little kid, you talk too much.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if that was a good thing or bad. I think he was saying it bad. I think he was like, I don't think it was a good thing. But I remember him also saying, you should be an attorney because you like to talk. Stuff like that. So I didn't know attorneys like to talk. I didn't know that's what they did.
Yeah, I think that's like their job. But I used to be a frequent flyer at silent lunch growing up because I would like get in trouble.
Oh my God, that would be like putting you in prison.
No, literally. I would just be like, I just need to talk, and I wouldn't be allowed.
Were people laughing at you while you're sitting over there?
Yes, for sure.
You had like a dunce cap on and everything?
For sure. But like, I didn't get in that much trouble in school because I was still like ultimately a good student. I just loved to talk and to entertain my fellow students.
Well, that's what makes you interesting today. Look at that. You found something to do with your weakness and saying right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's it.
I think that like was why we kind of had the idea to do this. Not only like did we want to kind of give like a wrap up of the news from the week for people who like didn't go through our website and read every story, because not everyone does, but you were like, there's something about you and me. We like to talk.
That's true. We can't shut up now. It's the end of the show, and Emily's our producers is back there going.
No, she's like, it's a normal Wednesday.
Yeah, like we're ready to be off the air, and we can't stop talking.
All right,
you got to stop first.
Okay.
It's the weekly show about ProAV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.